to hear and get that phone call that, he's been arrested.
My career being taken over because of concussions, I was facing 35 years.
Personal coach here with us, his trainer, mentor, almost like a brother, father figure. This episode is brought to you by Elite Sports Performance. If you've been with me for the past year, please forgive me while breaking from our customary intro and music. Today I'm going to share an exclusive interview with Jonathan Boland and his mentor, T.P. Brown. If you've missed it, the title to this episode is Concussions, Crimes, and Change. I had a chance to meet with John on the eve of his conviction and sentencing for armed robbery. Now, my intentions were not to try and psychoanalyze John, but to give him a safe place and a safe space to get some things off of his chest. You see, John gave me the opportunity to direct and engage in this conversation, but to also be a passive observer as we explored his demons and dark side, from drinking and abusing antidepressants, taking mollies, and smoking excessive amounts of cannabis. It would be easy to point the finger and say, how could he do this? But I think instead of how, we should ask why. There's a big difference. There were a lot of lessons and takeaways that came out of this conversation that can be used for positive and constructive purposes. There's a lot that we can learn from this experience. There's a lot that we can learn from his experience, especially concerning the factors surrounding his decision-making at the times of these crimes. Some of my early takeaways were 3 that centered around concussions. One of my first takeaways was that concussions can skew your perspective and perception of your hopes and dreams. I also came to the realization that elite level athletes, whether they're amateur or professionals, are more likely to disregard their safety due to the pressure of expectation, the pressure to succeed, and the pressure to win. Concussions also affect thinking, decision-making, balancing, remembering, and concentrating. So, what you're listening to today is a discovery moment. You're listening to John's discovery moment. But you should also be thinking about your own discovery moment. Those times you've been facing adversity. Those times where you've had to overcome setbacks, obstacles. This is the moment that we find out who we really are. This is the moment that you find out who you really are. You find out who you really are in times of adversity. You find out who you really are when you have to overcome mistakes. You find out who you really are when you have to overcome setbacks. I've learned some very interesting things. It's not that our troubles are so different. Life is life. It falls on the just and the unjust. Our pains are quite similar. It's our solutions that are different. Got a lot of things we're going to discuss today, but we're going to get into our interview. I wanted to talk to you about kind of what you have going on right now. I know you in high school, you went through a series of concussions, and later you had a few concussions at Portland State University, and that kind of, it forced you into an early retirement. You want to talk to us about that?
So, I started at Park Rose freshman year. On the varsity team with Coach Brown and Coach Price. And ever since that freshman year they put me on varsity, I just started taking football more seriously, They put in my head that if you work hard, you can earn a scholarship and do this. But coming from Park Rose, there really wasn't a lot of guys, going out. There wasn't a lot of dudes going D1 and not a lot of guys wanting to play college football or even play college sports in general. So they really put that in my head to where you gotta go hard in everything you doing, because cats in California, cats in Washington, they doing the same thing, and y'all trying to fight for the same scholarship offer. So playing varsity as a freshman was really good, really cool. Got a lot of experience, learned a lot from all the older guys. It was hard. I took a lot of ups and downs with varsity football just because I was young, and I'm going up against almost grown men about to be in college. So it's that took a toll on my body freshman year, but it didn't really mess me up that much. I didn't get any head bangs freshman year and whatnot. But sophomore year, that was my first one I suffered. I don't even remember what game it was, but that was the first concussion that I've ever gotten. And all we've heard concussions where a lot of kids fake them, and a lot of kids don't really know what it feels like or whatnot to have one. So the trainers put in your head to where if you get hit in your head and you feel something weird, then you have a concussion. You have to sit out. Mm-hmm. So I didn't look at it as like that, because with the coaches that we had, there wasn't no sitting out. You roll your ankle, tape it up, and you get back in the game, So, and I know the difference between getting my bell rung, and I know the difference between a concussion right now. So that sophomore year, I could say that I actually had a concussion that sophomore year. My first one was sophomore year. The fogginess, the memory loss from most of that season, just going through class day by day was just, you could tell the difference in concentrating and looking and reading and whatnot. And then the following year, my junior year, was the concussion that I got. It was like a game before the playoffs against Liberty. I actually had to get taken out on a stretcher. Then I didn't feel, it was like I didn't feel anything from my neck up. So that's the reasoning behind me really thinking about like career. And after that one, I really started thinking about my career and my future and how are college coaches going to look at it, because I know college coaches hated injuries. College coaches hate injuries and hate concussions on kids because you always can get another one. So that was the point in my life where I had to like buckle down. I stopped playing basketball because I didn't want to get hurt in basketball to ruin my future in football. So after the junior, when it took about 3 months to recover, and going into my senior year, I told myself, like, if you get hit in the head, it doesn't even matter. You're not going out. Don't sit out. You're not saying nothing to them.
That was the mindset.
That was the mindset I had going into my senior year because of the colleges that were contacting me at that moment.
What colleges were contacting?
So I had Oregon State was contacting me. Portland State came on late. Cal Poly was the big rider for me throughout the whole summer going into my senior year. I had Eastern Washington coming to talk to me, coming to see my 7-on-7s. And one of the Oregon coaches came and watched one of my games senior year of high school. It was like the second game in the season or something like that. They came and watched, so that was pretty cool. But the first thing they always said to me was, "Oh, how's your head? Or how do you feel? Or do you ever think you're gonna get another one?" So I had to take that in and really dwell on that situation, because what if I do get another one? Are all these coaches gonna stop talking to me and whatnot? But so I go through my senior year, and one game I got hit bad. It was a Wilsonville game. I got hit bad, and from that point, everybody was looking at me, "Bro, you all right? You good?" I guess I looked differently than I did before, but I knew I had a concussion then. But like I said, my mindset was on something else. My mindset was on my future. My mindset was on scholarships. So it's like, do I want to sit out 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and risk this scholarship going to another dude, or should I just keep fighting, keep battling through it? I'll wake up tomorrow morning, I'll feel better or whatnot. And that's what I had in my head. Keep balling, keep going. And you just got your bell rung. All right, keep going. You good. But that's the mindset that trainers don't want you to have and coaches don't want you to have, because look at me now, my career's done and, over with just because of, something I could have sat out a game or two and wouldn't have to, battle through what I'm battling through today with.
So you get to PSU. You finally, how did you wind up signing with Portland State?
So after the season was over,
Your senior,
senior year, yeah.
So we're saying like you had at least probably 3, maybe 4 concussions during your high school career.
Yeah, it was 4. It was 4 concussions, and
those are all documented.
yes, sir. Yeah. After my season, a lot of coaches were still talking about the concussion factor, and I'd say the same thing. I'm good, and I got a little memory loss here, but I'm good. So the only school that really took their shot with me was Portland State, and it's in Portland. So hey, I'm a Portland boy. I might as well go down to Portland State and ball out, and it's my city, so I might as well. So they were 100% on me from that jump on. They offered me, I signed, and rest was history. After that,
you get to Portland State. And then you decide you redshirt. Tell us about that redshirt season. How did that go for your first experience being in college? You redshirt and the psychology behind that and getting through it.
So going in as a freshman, they don't tell you. They didn't tell me if I was going to redshirt or not until it was like a week before the first game. That redshirt year is probably, they say it's the toughest year, and that was probably my toughest year at PSU, just because you're coming from high school to where you're playing every snap. Everybody loves you. Everybody knows you. To go into Portland, to go into college and having to sit a whole year and just practice, and it felt, honestly, it felt like I really wasn't on the team, just because come on, bro, it's Saturday and I'm sitting in the stands and everybody else is on the field, and us red shirts is in the stands and then everybody else is on the field, and you're giving it your 100% at practice and you're giving it your 100% in the class, but you're not playing. So it's like, damn, like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Like, is this really how college football is going to be? I'm going to just be sitting and watching everybody else, Like, come on now, we just starting a year ago. But that was the hardest year to get over. But that, it makes your mind humble itself, because of everybody else is in the same situation. Everybody else was balling in high school just like you was balling in high school. So you can't dwell on being sad on yourself, like being mopey on yourself. You have to push forward, and the cats around you, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to push you like, come on, bro, we got to get to practice. We got to get to film. We're not even playing, but we still got to sit here for an hour and 30 minutes and watch film. That's how you learn, mental reps. And but yeah, that was red shirt year for any athlete. You have to be focused. You have to be focused your red shirt year. You have to.
Did you experience any concussions your red shirt season?
So my red shirt season, I was on scout. I'm starting wide receiver on scout, and we're going up against the first team D. And the first experience that I got hit in my head was when I was running like a backside fade, and I jump, I catch the ball in the back of the end zone, and I come right down on the back of my head. I get a big flash like I always did with concussions, and I'm like, like.
What do you mean flash?
So it's like if you go in your room and turn on your light, turn it off real quick. It's like that. It's like a quick flash, just like that, and your vision's blurry. You're seeing stars. But that was the first time at PSU where any type of concussion or any type of head trauma that I had was the first one then on scout. I didn't say nothing though. I didn't say nothing at all because that scared me right there. Because my doctors in high school are saying one more and you're done. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna bring it up to any coach, which.
Because you're on full ride scholarship.
Exactly.
Who's getting paid for it.
Yes, sir. And as an athlete and as a male, I'm not going to, and with the drive that I have, I'm not gonna sit out and watch somebody else take my spot. You know, that it makes me sick inside because I know in my head I can do a lot better than him, and that's just my mentality. So I didn't say nothing. Went on through the week. Yeah, I was feeling groggy. They kept asking me if I'm doing all right because I guess I was going slow in some drills. And I'm all right. And then the trainers come after practice and they brought me over because they seen what I had did. And they were asking me all the questions, going through the concussion protocol. And in the back of my head, I'm like, John, you should just sit out. Come on, sit out a week or two. It'll be all right, bro. You'll be straight. But I'm trying to fight for a spot. I'm trying to show these coaches that I can play ball.
That's the mindset.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm telling myself
pressure to keep going.
Definitely. That was the one thing with injuries. When it's always with football. If you see somebody, one of your homies get hurt, you're like, oh, bro, fam's not really hurt, bro. He's just, sucking it up, whatnot, just trying to get out of the drills. So that's what I always had in my mind. Like when dudes is looking at me like, oh, man, John ain't hurt. So, I'm not going to get hurt. Forget it. If I am hurt, then I'm playing through it, But I should 100% sat out just at least a week or two because that will drag on and on if you get hit in the head again and drag on again if you get hit again, So
was that the final one or did you keep going or was there another one?
Yeah. So I kept going, kept pushing, didn't sit out. And the final one that came was the August. It was August of 2016 fall camp. Fall camp. So we're about a week or two into fall camp. And I'm up there. I'm running with the twos at that moment. I'm running with the twos, so I'm feeling good. I'm gonna be playing this year. I'm gonna be getting the ball maybe here or there. So I'm very confident. I'm feeling good. This is the first time I actually felt good at Portland State, like playing football and feeling like I'm actually a part of the team. So I'm thinking can't nothing put me down right now. We're in drills and. We're doing slant and bubble drill. And I'm outside receiver, so I'm running the slants and take the slant, boom, 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 and it's full speed right now. So right. I take the slant, catch it, and like any slot receiver, you're supposed to have your head on a swivel looking for linebackers, and I wasn't at that moment, and I just got ear holed. Same thing happens. I don't go down, but flash, bam, and I'm like, oh shit, like this can't be it, this one can't be it. Everybody's seen it, everybody going, oh, so it's like it's a big deal. So after that, I went to the sideline. Trainers came to me, and at that moment, my body, my legs felt weak. I didn't feel like myself. So I can't go any much longer faking this, so I'm gonna sit out for the week or two. So I go into the trainer's room.
I want to be super clear that concussion is a traumatic brain injury. To understand what a concussion is your brain hitting the cellular walls of your skull. It's just like being in a car accident and your brain shaking. So it is a serious injury and it needs to be taken serious. Definitely.
So once I got onto this trainer's room, we went through the protocol. I'm just telling them what's going on and how I'm feeling. So I take the week off, and I'm on the sideline for the whole week, and I'm feeling down a little bit and whatnot. And it only takes like two. So at Portland State, they go through a week without doing anything, no phones, no anything like that. You got to stay at home. And then the next week after that, you can get on the bike. So I got on the bike, started getting a little motion, and then the week after that, you'll be able to run. So you sprint, do sprint work, whatnot. So we went through all that. Wasn't feeling any symptoms like that. I felt the light. I heard a little bit sensitivity to light, fogginess. I just felt down. But I've been feeling like that ever since high school, since my junior year concussion. So they finally cleared me to run and wear a helmet in practice. But then my doctor from high school came in and talked to the PSU. I don't know how they got in contact, but they contacted each other. Okay. Which, like I said, my doctor in high school said 1 more and you're done. So they contacted, and so my trainer calls me in, and Mr. Boland, we talked to your primary doctor.
So this is like the family doctor.
Yeah. We talked to your doctor, and she told us everything that's been going on in high school. Because I don't think Portland State knew everything that had happened. I knew I had one, but I don't think they knew I had the others. So they said that she was saying for me to not play anymore, either that or risk another concussion and risk having something go wrong. Yeah, exactly. Brain
with that.
Exactly. So from that point on, that day, it just was a bad, that whole week after they told me that was just a bad, I just felt bad. I didn't feel myself. I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't going to practices. Well, why is a good question, because like my trainer used to say, Papa next to me would always say, find your why. So, find your why. Why are you doing this? Why do you do this? I'm doing this because I love football. And why is them telling you can't play football hurting you this bad? In my mind, because football was my life. Football was my everything. Football still is my life. Football still is my everything. Football got me to college. Football is getting me an education. Football is going to better myself in the future just because I have the education I have. And I can't do that anymore. You telling me I can't play football no more because I got hurt in my head? I had about 4 or 5 concussions already. I'm good. But that's not how they're looking at it. They're looking at long term. They're looking at, are you going to be able to walk in 20 years? Are you going to be able to read in 20 years?
Function.
Exactly. In society, right. So I took the bad steps in comforting myself.
You have they tell you that you have to retire.
Mm-hmm.
You go through that whole emotional sequence for a week. I'll skip ahead in our conversation a little bit, because you were told that you had this last concussion. You have to retire from football. I know some of the things you had experienced symptoms of, like flashing lights. You're having headaches. You're having wobbly legs. You're having memory loss, and you finally have this last one. The Portland State doctors and facilitators, they contact your high school doctor, family doctor, and then she explains that, is it she or he? She explains that he has to be done, and here's why: because you had a number in high school. So you go through the emotional sequence. For me, I want to introduce, this is T.P. Brown of Elite Sports Performance. This is John's mentor. He's like a father figure. He's been everything to John playing sports and coming up. So I first learned about some of the, I heard about a robbery. I heard that you were arrested and in jail. And I heard that from Papa. I come in the gym one day and his eyes is bloodshot red, and I see tears in his eyes. And he kind of explained the story to me. You want to take us back through that, Paul? TP?
I mean, as an athlete, you go through, pitfalls, and you go through, ups and downs, peaks and valleys. This just happens to be, one of those valleys that we're in currently. And it just is a testament to what happens when you lose focus, or, when you lose focus and when things are taken away from you that you work so diligently to achieve, and how you can, get into a spiral if you're not locked in and focused, and you're not working your success plan every day, irregardless of, your athletic prowess. So I got word, and it was just, it was, for me, it was, coming off of a cloud nine, because, for him to be able to come to me and tell me that he's done, playing football, for me to be able to process that, because our goal was always to make it to the league. And that was our goal from day one. And this was just, an initial step that we were taking towards that goal. So for him to actually come to me, which took him a while to come to me and tell me what was going on. So, me being as close to him as I am, I'm going to practices. I'm there, trying to witness, what's going on so I can support and be there, and not seeing him on the field. I didn't know that he had the concussions, at the college level. So I was, it was unbeknownst to me as to what was going on. So I'm thinking he's just working through injury. I'm going to games. He's not on the, on the roster. And it wasn't until I actually got to sit down with the coach until I found out what actually was going on. So for me, it was a waiting process for him to come to me and tell me what he was experiencing, what he had been going through. And I feel like, he didn't want to let me down, because he know how hard that we had worked and how much time and energy that we put into, get him to where he was at. But when he did come to me and, talk to me, and let me know, I was like, man, this is just the beginning. This is another opportunity for another door opening for you to further your testimony, as far as what you're doing in life, how sports has, brought you to a point of success, and how you're using that discipline and that desire, that hunger that, that sports brings out of you to further your life. This is a testament for somebody else to be able to get to that point and be able to persevere and push through it. At that point, I was just like, hey, this is the next phase. What are we going to do next? This is, one door closes, another one opens. So, I mean, it was a somber moment, but it was a joyous moment too, just because it represented, taking the next phase. I mean, it's the next phase earlier than we expected, but nonetheless, you have to be ready for the opportunities as they present themselves. And that's what I look at everything as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to do something different. It's an opportunity for us to continue to touch people's lives. It just looks a little bit different, at this phase. No further than a week after having that conversation, I'm watching the news and see a story come across the news where they're celebrating, John for his accomplishments, his achievements, and really telling his story. It wasn't a conversation that he and I had that was going on, so it was a surprise to see that. And for me, it was like, this is a proud moment. This is another testament to, this just being the beginning of a journey. Life is a journey. We take pit stops, here and there, but we continue on our journey. So for him, for me, it was just like, this is great. This will help him be able to process it a little bit more, and also have the support of the community and getting his story out there, so people can understand how serious, concussions really are. But there is life after concussions. Even if you're a star athlete. So up until, right after that point, I'm not sure. I don't know when he came in, because, we're pretty close. So when he's absent from me, I know that something's going on. But all I can do, as a father figure, as a mentor, is, let him know that I'm there. And when he's ready to come and talk to me, he'll come and talk to me. I wish I had more of an inkling as to, what he was going through, what was going on. Normally I'm a stickler, honest head, disciplinarian. But you have to, like any parent, you have to let your kids grow up and spread their wings and kind of figure things out on their own. That's a part of becoming an adult. So I'm giving them space, letting them work through things. For me, became detrimental because I just feel, honestly, if I would have been as diligent as I was in the beginning, through this process, a lot of these things, a lot of these circumstances and circumstances would not be irrelevant and wouldn't be as detrimental as they are in this current situation. So no sooner than me watching the rise, kind of the culmination of, his career and having the story here, the story was just beginning and unraveling. So to hear and get that phone call that, he's been arrested and he had been arrested and, what he was facing took me a while to process, because that's not, I call him my son. That's not the son that I know. That's not the person I know. So I was, kind of put in a tailspin. It's like, what is really going on? I need more answers. And not being able to talk to him, I was just kind of stuck. Like, this can't be happening. You know what I mean? But all the while. So for me to be able to process that, it was just, it was tough. I mean, it's still tough. I'm concerned about him, every day. And just trying to, pull him back into my fold so we can be mentally strong. So because it's a journey, and this just begins another piece, another chapter in that journey. So, you have to write your success story every day, and every day is a new opportunity for you to write a new chapter in your book. So what is that chapter going to in detail? And the more things that happen in your life, the juicier those chapters become, the more of a testament that it is for somebody else that's going to be able to follow behind you. And I help, hopefully, to not fall in those same pitfalls. I'm saying, it's a testimony for somebody coming up behind you or somebody that's going through a similar struggle, for them to be able to persevere and push through. I'm not going to get into, what it is and, what he's up against, because I'm still hopeful and optimistic, in regards to the process. But if, he wants to share, that's his story to tell. But from the position that I'm in, it hurts, because, good things happen to things, bad things happen to good people. You heard that saying? Right. Bad things happen to good people. And so this is definitely one of them circumstances that, some bad things has happened to a good person, a good human being that's always looked out for, people around him, his family, his friends, his community, first and foremost, and, given the circumstances, just, situations are not, the best right now.
So, I come to the gym one day and I see TP at the gym, and TP tells me that you have been arrested for armed robbery. And then later we come to find out, I think, was there 2 or was there 3 of them? Yeah, 3. There was 3 armed robberies. And you had 2 co-defendants. I know one of them that's pretty much like family. So that pretty much, it messed my whole day up. And, I've been wishing the best for the both of y'all. But I would like for you to take us through, take me through like the first one. What was the thought process? What was the reasoning behind doing like the first robbery? What was going on in your mind or in your head, or how did you feel?
I'm going to go back to when they told me football was over. So when they first told me that was, I want to say, early September. So it was right after fall camp was just ending, because it took about 3 weeks. So it was like mid-September. And once they told me that, my whole mindset, my whole everything switched. Like it was almost like life was taken out of me, like the breath was just taken out of me, but for a few weeks. So I took, instead of putting my mind into to bettering my academics or putting all my football effort and everything I gave into football into something, better and to help other folks, I, went down into a hole, and it was just a black hole for me. I started taking drugs that I never took before, smoking weed every day, and drinking on school days, going to class, turned up, and it was just, I was on Xanax, Molly, any type of pill I can get my hands on. I was taking it. So I had to fill a void. I want to say I had to feel the happiness that was taken from me, and the drugs definitely gave me happiness. I've never felt that feeling in my life. That's why I liked it so much, and that was just replacing where football was in my life. Which once I'm down off the drug, what am I starting to think about? Football. So let me take this drug again, so I can get my mind off of it. That's the most terrible mindset I could have had in that process. Why? You don't want to put, what's that saying? You don't want to put two negatives together. Don't react with a negative thing on a negative situation. So it was just, the drugs really had me in as a different person. And that first day when we were all together, it just didn't feel right. I just knew I had a bad stomach feeling in my stomach, if something wrong was gonna happen. But there wasn't any thinking. We just did it.
So take us back to the day. Obviously you and your co-defendants, y'all obviously have been knowing each other. Y'all connect. Take me through. Y'all. The day of the robbery. How did the idea come about? Not that it was anybody's idea, but, walk us through that, the concepts and how you got to do it.
So the first store was actually literally like a couple blocks away from my house, from downtown Portland. I feel so bad. It was the store that we always went to every day, the corner store that we always got our drinks and water and seeds from everything, and, so
how did that idea come about? Like, we're just gonna go rob this store. I mean, was you short on rent? Was it a car note that needed to be paid, or bills, or clothes, or shoes?
The main thing in my head at that time was money. We needed money, just because it wasn't even the rent needed to be paid or nothing. I just wanted some money in my pocket. We got checks every month from the football team, but that was going straight to rent and food. I wanted some money in my pocket. I'm 18, 19 years old. I'm downtown Portland, popping in with females here, females that, drinks here, everything. So what do you need in your pocket is money. Everybody needs money. So that was our main mindset doing the robberies, was money. And then if you're robbing somebody, that's what you're really going to get, is money. With money being the motive and the motivation, anything, and plus the drugs on top of that, it wasn't no stopping us. Plus a firearm, we thought we was on top of the world. Like we thought we were lions. Nothing was gonna knock us down. Nothing was gonna happen. But
I just know for you, your situation, your circumstances are different, and it might not be different, from the co-defendants or whatever the case may be. I know the cloth that you cut from. I know what your parents represent. So for me, and a little bit of this is for me getting some understanding as well, because I know how you were raised, and I know at any given time you could have came to me and got anything that you needed. So for money to be the motive, it couldn't have been that, because you could have went and came to me, mom, parents, anybody, and got anything that you could have ever asked for. And knowing that, I feel like there was something a little bit more in detail that played a role into what possessed that plan to come about.
Definitely. My mindset was I always have to put on for my family, because growing up we didn't, and I'm not saying we was poor or anything like that. I got a great mom and daddy, and they work so hard for everything that they do and they give for us. But once I got to college, I had the feeling to where I have to be a provider. I have to, when we first got our Pell Grant, it's 5 racks in my account. I'm like, I'm finna break mom 2 racks off of this. So I gave her 2,000. So once I had that feeling, once I seen all that money in my pocket, I'm like, man, the sky is the limit. So it wasn't more of not having the money or not having people around me for me to go to them and ask for anything like that. It was just, man, I got to start doing this stuff on my own, no matter how it is, because I hate asking people for money. That is my biggest, I hate asking people for money, because before you ask them, how can you go get it yourself? That's my mentality. How can I go do this by myself before I ask anybody? I'm very independent, and I pride myself on that. I love being by myself. You have to love yourself. You can't love nobody else instead of loving yourself. So I know how you saying I could have went to anybody. Honestly, I should have. I know I could have, and I know I should have, but my independence and my pride, it just wasn't set to a side like it should have been. So it's.
The Bible speaks about being prideful, and I know that you were raised in the church, and how impactful, being prideful, and how detrimental being prideful can be. So talk a little bit about that, and being raised in the church, and with being prideful.
Yeah.
How detrimental that was.
Big time. That is something my parents been teaching us ever since we was young. You always be humble. Yeah, always be humble. Your ego, don't let that get in the way. You know where you came from. You know who you are. You know your last name. Growing up with a Christian background, it was like you were held to a different standard because you know what's right and you know what's wrong. But of course, everybody gets tempted, and everybody, falls in temptation every day, I want to say. But putting my pride to the side, that was something that was really, really, really hard to do, because my high school career was it wasn't like anybody else's. It was very unique. I didn't have to do anything but play football and speak to the media and speak to the folks around. So putting my pride to the side was very hard to do, because I had so many eyes on me that I couldn't mess up one. I couldn't make one mistake, because if one of my mistakes, literally, like, it takes a whole downfall. I can't make one little mess up, or it's gonna be a tornado. It's gonna be a tsunami in that situation. So I don't want to say that.
So you go, y'all, you right up on the doorsteps of the store. What's going through your head at the time?
What was going through on my head? I didn't think it was gonna go down. In my head, I didn't think we were all gonna go through with it. I'm thinking we were just gonna go in the store and not get scared, but just be like, fuck what are we doing right now, bro? You know what I mean? What are we doing? But it didn't play out like that. It happened. It honestly, it didn't feel like it didn't, because I knew about it. So I didn't. It didn't feel like anything. It just felt like I'm in the store and got my drink and I left. Literally, honestly, it's just like that. Everything went so fast, and of course, I had it in the back of my mind, like, man, what am I doing, bro? Like, how did I get involved in this, and how did we all get involved with this? That's the main thing. It's not even just about me. It's like, how did all of us get involved with this? And I pray every day for all of our situations, and it's just one of the most sickening feelings ever.
Did y'all leave with?
I'm not for sure. Okay. I mean, not for sure. I know I'm not for sure. Mm-mm.
So that one happens, and then obviously you end up doing another one.
Mm-hmm.
What is the catalyst, to go do another one? What makes you say, okay, we did one, let's go do another one? What's the thought process?
just to be 100% honest, the thought process wasn't there. The drugs was in our system, so we just thought we could do anything. And being off of Xans, have you been off Xanax before?
No.
Yeah, yeah. It's the feeling with that is just like, you're unstoppable, which almost any drug makes you feel like that. So we got into the car after we left my house, going to do the second one, and same day, same night. It was within like 3 hours of each other. The team had left to go to the football game, so I'm at my house by myself. I'm trying to do something. Yeah. It was like a Thursday or Friday. They had just left, and so I'm.
Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, Thursday. It was like Thursday, Friday.
So you do one.
We come back to my house and you smoke a little bit, drink a little bit, take some more Xans, get back in the car and look for another store.
Okay, so you go to the second store. Tell us about that.
Same process, same thing. We just literally did the same thing.
Were you holding a pistol?
No, no. But still.
What's your nerves like doing the second one? So you complete one.
Yeah, we complete one. The second one is the same deal. I felt the same way. It literally like happened within 5 seconds, and I couldn't feel bad because I'm doing it with him. I'm here I'm here, and then there's no way of me. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's me we made a stupid decision, and it makes me speechless talking about it, but it's just sick. It was just sick, and it just happened so quick. Get in, get out, got back in the car, and we left.
So was the third one that day or that night too?
No, it was like the following. Well, yeah, it was the same day, but it was that night. It was the night.
Two, like in the daytime. And
two within like 2 hours of each other.
And there was a third one, like, that was like later that night.
That night,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, so y'all do 2 in the morning, and the third one, what time approximately is that one? Or do y'all start that one to say, you know what, fuck it, we might as well go do a third one?
Yeah, it was like, we want to say 10 p.m. around, like late Friday night.
Okay, so you get to the third one, you've done 2. Tell us about that.
The last one, honestly, the last one was the most sketchy, just because more people was around. There was more people in the store. At 2 a.m., there's nobody in the store. So it's 10 o'clock. It's like 2. I go in the store. It's like 2 or 3 people in there already. So my gosh, like, what's this gonna go? Like, how is this one gonna go down? Is somebody gonna step in and react? That's what I'm thinking in the back of my head. Exactly. So this one took a little longer. I just go in the back of the store, like I'm shopping, and so I hear him come in, and I hear a lady scream. So I'm like, I don't want nothing to go bad, because this can all turn into way worse, a murder or something like that. So I hear that. So I'm like, oh shit. So I start walking to the door to just see what was going on, then to leave. And at that moment, we just see him run out. So I'm like, I'm finna run too. Forget it. So that was the one. So that one was the scariest. Not the scariest, but it was just like my heart was beating a little faster than the other 2, just because it was more stakes and more people were in there and more obstacles that we had to get through. So that one, I said, we're done, bro. We done. Let's go back home, bro. It's now we just being stupid now. So we head back to my house, and we ended right then and there. Then I didn't talk to them for 2 weeks maybe, and then that's when I get arrested.
So you completed these robberies like all in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stop, and you get arrested 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
So who's arrested first?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that piece of it is for whatever reason, there was not a complete thought process, and that's evident in the fact of you didn't at any point try to disclose or cover up your identity. So each of these robberies, you're going in there and your face is on camera. It's not even a full thought process as to, if I go back and watch these tapes, they're going to put one and two together. I'm at all three of these different places.
So you just walking in plain clothes.
Portland State gear on.
Not thinking, not having any clear thoughts into what regards of what I'm doing or where I'm at and who I am. So police didn't have any idea as to who he was. You just on camera at three different locations. The special airs.
What's that?
The special airs about him having his concussions, retiring from Portland State, retiring from football.
Drug.
They can put the face with the face now, which is why he was the first one arrested. Because now they know who he is.
Right.
So your ties to the community and being this great individual, this great person, and celebrating your story has now become your biggest detrimental impact to your community. So your success becomes your failure. Your success is what brought you in. Your success is what got you turned in and what got you arrested. Because prior to that, they would have had no idea really who he was.
So when you share the story and when you put it like that, it's not like, you hear about these bank robbers, you might watch movies and you see how things are trivialized. Usually they're going in with a mask, there's some type of disguise going on. There's like a thought process. So with you going through the concussions and then you being on the drugs, I heard you mention drinking, I heard you mention Xanax, Molly's. I don't even know what the hell a Molly is. It's clear that you were affected, mentally and psychologically. You're on drugs. We could sit up here and debate this all day long or try to psychoanalyze you. That's not the point here. The point here is for you to get some things off of your chest and kind of bring us, on to the inside, like you haven't had it. Like this is a time for you to get all this stuff off of your chest, So I know you're getting close to sentencing. At the beginning of this, how much time were you facing?
At the beginning, the day after, like the first time I talked to my attorney, I was facing 35 years. And that's with all 12 charges on me. So coming from literally sitting in the classroom the day before, sitting in a cell, and they telling me I'm about to face 35 years in prison. I thought my life was done. I thought it was over with. Like my stomach, everything in my body stopped. It felt like I stopped functioning, and having that in the back of your head for a month, sitting in jail is not a good feeling. But my attorney was saying, charges got dropped, and they're looking at everybody. They put a whole bunch of charges on you, but they drop to the ones that they really want to put on you, which I'm.
Have you committed any crimes or felony acts before this time, or ever been in the court system, or been fingerprinted?
Nope. Only thing that I have ever had ran into the law with, I got pulled over like my junior year in Clackamas, which speeding ticket. Yep. Speeding ticket. That was my only time ever getting involved with the police. As a grown man, a young man growing up. When we was young, running around. But yeah, that was my first ever. This is my first ever actual offense. Being in court, going to court, having lawyers, having this, talking to DAs, all that. Sitting in front of a judge. I ain't never sat in front of a judge before. It was sick. Being handcuffed, being on shackles, being transported here and there. It was just a whole nother experience, a whole nother world for me, which I took it very because before all this was happening, I gave my life to the Lord. I had to, you know, come to some type of peace because I knew my life wasn't going the way I wanted to go. I lose football. I do these robberies. You know, a week later, I'm doing B&Es, and so it's like I'm not. This is not, you know, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing in my life right now. So people kept asking me in jail, well, how are you so peaceful? How are you so chill, bro? It's just, once you get by yourself and once you start praying and once you really, you know, take all the negativity out of your mind and you don't care what really nobody says and just your family, honestly, you there's nothing that you can't do by yourself and with the Lord and with your family. Honestly, it's like, I don't care what anybody said about me right now. I really don't. I could care less. You know, I know the people that I care for, that's who I'm going to listen to. TP, you, my parents, my mom, coaches, whatnot. But anybody else, it don't even matter to me, you know?
At the beginning of all of this, you were facing a max of 35 years. Mm-hmm. You're about to get sentenced next Monday. What does the sentencing look like for you? How much time, you know, what do you think you're about to go do, or what's been, you know?
Yeah. So from 35 years, they went down to 7, which is measure 11. Robbery 1, measure 11, just and it's 90 months, 7 years, day for day. Which is very, if you're listening right now, sounds terrible. You know, it's my first time ever going to jail, and I'm getting 90 months, 7 years in the penitentiary. But how I look at it is, you know, a kid from Portland State died from taking the same drugs I'm on. He OD'd. A lineman, 6'6", 300-pound lineman, OD'd on the same drugs that I was on. Same amount. A couple months before I was really on them. And I look at that and I'm like, man, I saved my family from having not to die, but just to see me in jail. So it's like, I don't mind. It's not like I'm saying I'm okay with it, but I see other folks and I'm like, man, they're struggling a lot more than I am. How can I sit here and moat, and how can I pout on my situation when them folks over there, he's facing life. He's facing 25 years. He's dead. So it's like, how can I sit here and mope on my situation, and these families over here they can't even see they kids for the rest of their life, because one's dead or one's in prison for the rest of his life.
You know, I met your mom, and I recently met your dad, and I know you've probably gone through this before, but you know, we're doing this interview. Eventually, it'll come out after your sentencing. What would you say to your mom and dad right now?
You know, in the situation I'm going through right now, I took a lot of beating. I took a lot of beating, and I've taken a lot of. So many people had just been, you know, talking bad on my name and this and that. But when you haven't gone through the situation yourself, there's really nothing you can say about it unless you actually know that feeling. So my parents, you know, a lot of parents are talking to my parents and they should be so disappointed in me, and they should be this and that. They shouldn't have let me live in their house. How can you say that to somebody that this is a son? This is a 19-year-old son. They didn't raise me since I was a little baby. Come on now. And it's that it wasn't like a disappointing feeling that they gave me. It was just like a supportive, 100%, we behind you. Definitely we see, because I told my parents what I had did. So they knew before I went to jail, they knew what I was doing. They knew what I had did. Yeah, before I got arrested, they had known. So it wasn't a surprise to them. They wanted me to turn myself in. But the only thing I said to them, I really haven't said anything, but I love them. But it's like, moms and pops, man, they just, I'm disappointed in myself, because me going to jail, it made them look like they weren't good parents, or they didn't raise me. Hell no, it's not that. I'm a grown man. I make my own decisions. They put me on the path to get to where I'm at. Of course, you so like Coach Brown said, as a parent, you got to let your kids grow by themselves. You have to let them experience everything by themselves. So all I have to say to my parents is, I love y'all so much, and it's just like, it's not what went wrong. It's just this it's a new start. It's a new beginning. I know God puts you through stuff that you just don't understand, but that's the thing. You have to just keep believing. You have to keep trusting yourself and the family and the people that you care for, because that's all you really gonna have. And by saying that might make me look like, I'm a bad dude. I don't like anybody else, it's not that. It's just, you have to stay focused on what you really want in life. And people are going to talk shit. People are going to say all the negative things that you done been through, but it's really, the mindset of yourself. You have to keep pushing forward. It don't matter about that. You got your family. Your parents is always going to be behind you from anything. This is opened up my eyes a lot to see how my parents really are, how strong and how just supportive they are, how much they really love and care for me. This situation really opened up my eyes with that, and it's like I can't say sorry. Like there's no sorry in this. It's just, what are you gonna do next? How are you gonna get over this? Once you're out, what are you gonna do from there? Are you gonna mess up and go back? What is it, like 85% chance that you get out of prison, you go back or something like that? Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do after this? How am I gonna not rescue my name? But it's almost like rescuing my name. My name is down in a hole right now, buried. So it's like, how am I gonna unbury that and get back to the level of what I was at, playing college football? That's a big time opportunity. Exactly. Yeah. Full ride scholarship. So it's just,
there's going to be like thousands of people that listen to this audio on the podcast. We'll have a video segment to this too. What would you say to the young athlete that's growing up in your shoes, going to high school, getting into college? Like, as you reflect on this experience, today is Wednesday. When Monday comes around, you're going to get sentenced. You have to turn yourself in on the spot. You will get handcuffed, and then you will go through processing. And at some point, you will wind up at a state penitentiary, and that's going to be your reality. What advice or motivation would you give to the young athlete in terms of dealing with hardship or overcoming setbacks?
A lot of stuff that high school athletes hear today is a lot of stuff that, y'all grew up listening to, because it's y'all telling us. So we're just going to do the same thing and feed the younger generation coming up. But like TP always had in my head as a young, like since third grade, like you said, the mentality of your work ethic, that is what is going to separate you from anybody. If you're not really working hard in everything you're doing, why are you doing it? Why are you waking up every morning and going to your job or going to school and giving half ass and half effort and not putting your whole mind into whatever you're doing? Because coaches always said, oh, come on, effort, bring it. But it's really with yourself. Like you have to get it in yourself to believe that you're about to put 100% in everything you do. As an athlete now, and my career being taken over because of concussions, man, if I see an athlete not going hard, that's gonna piss me off, because I could be in your shoes right now, bro, still balling, but you want to go half-ass right now, and I'm over here and I can't play no more because of concussions. But you're playing and you're going half effort and not even giving a fuck what you're doing.
And in preparation, man, the mindset piece of it is so important, because so when you are speeding through life at a reckless pace, the Lord always has a way of slowing you down. I'm a firm believer everything in life happens for a reason. And this just happens to be the Lord's way of slowing down and putting things in perspective, and in a sense, putting you on vacation. You're on vacation to a point where you have to put things back in perspective and get things back in order. And when you do that, and when you've done that successfully, he'll give you another opportunity to just show society, what it's all about, how you've grown, what changes you've made. But that's an opportunity for you to be able to give back as well when that time presents itself. So that time that you are away on vacation is a time for you to grow. And I just want you to take that with you. And that's free. Some people call it game. I just call it art for your ears.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close out. You heard it here first with John Boland of Parkrose High School here in Portland, Oregon. He went on to Portland State. He experienced some setbacks. He's in a position where he's taking full responsibility and holding himself accountable. He's going to look forward to the future. He's going to have, a significant amount of time to learn from his mistakes. And we're looking forward to helping him along the way. One of the things I could say about him being over here, I've had a chance to meet his mom. I've had a chance to meet his dad, work with him, work with his sister. He's also met a lot of my athletes. So I know this is a really painful time for him right now, but he's opened up to us. I can really appreciate that. We have TP Brown here of Elite Sports Performance. TP has been his personal coach, personal trainer, strength coach, confidant, counselor, father figure to John Boland here. So this is hard on us all because it's hitting really so close to home. But hopefully, you listening to John, him opening up to us, sharing up with us his heart, what was going on in his mind at the time, you can take some of these things and learn from his experience. So that's what this is about. I often tell, my athletes, figure out a way to learn from other people's experiences so you don't have to always bump your head and learn from personal experiences. And then, he'll learn that along the way also, but it's a temporary setback. I mean, he could be doing life, if a murder took place, he could be dead. If those clerks had a firearm behind the counter or if the authorities were involved, so we're very fortunate that he's still alive today. Again, he's going to go accept responsibility and hold himself accountable and come out a better man for this. So I thank y'all for tuning in. Peace and blessings.